Okay, so the recipe today is we're doing a pork neck stew with legumes. I went to Vic's meat market in Mascot. I bought the pork neck, which is the pork neck you got, so it's from Vic's and for Harwich. Vic's premium quality meat, delicious. The chef and the butcher. Vic's premium quality meat. You can buy your meat online. All right, enough messing about. Let's go. So you've got your recipe. You've got your pork neck. If you wanted, you could just seal this in a hot pan and into the oven. So I mean, still get a nice golden brown color on it in a hot pan, olive oil. You could cook it like that for about 10 minutes in the oven and cut it and eat it pink. So it either goes two ways. You can either eat it pink, roasted like that, or you gotta cook the bejesus out of it. That means I braise it for an hour till it falls apart. In between, it's like a squash ball. We're doing this recipe. I'm using canned chickpeas, right? Just because I got them. You can use kidney beans. They're dried. You soak them in advance. Onions. You can use white or red. Garlic, unpeeled. Carrot, unpeeled. Don't worry about peeling. I've got some celery. It's not in the recipe. You don't have to have it. It's just in the fridge. I got some bay leaves. Fresh, dried are just as good. And I got ginger. So a knob. Salt and pepper, obviously. Olive oil to cook with. If you haven't got olive oil, you can use vegetable oil. It's not a deal breaker. Soy sauce. Someone asked about gluten-free. So you can get gluten-free soy sauce. You can use salt instead of the soy sauce. It's more of a seasoning. I've got apple cider vinegar, white wine vinegar. I use tons of this. It's great for everything. You can use any vinegar, more for the acidity. And then you've got the Malabar stock, which is more. Just use 100 mils of soy sauce, right? Instead of two. Two will make it a bit salty as a reduce, but use 100, taste it when we've finished, and then you can add the other 100 if you want. All right, so now what you should be doing before we prep the vegetables is get your pot or your pot. Oh, I knew I had them somewhere. Get your pot on the stove. Get it hot now. So I'm saying sort of a medium heat, because when we got to cook the meat, we want the pot red hot, so it's scorching the meat. So get your pot on the stove now. So that pot's going to be on for like about 8 minutes now. So medium heat, but it's got to be hot. So what you're going to do now is, we're going to prep the vegetables in a minute, but we're going to get the pot hot, which I've already said. We're going to dice the pork. And then the thing is, you're going to, when the pot is really hot, we add the oil, the pork, we cover the bottom of the pot, but don't move the pork. And the reason you do this is you want the pot scorching hot, because when the meat goes in, it cools the pot down, which you do not want, because then your meat starts to stew. So we're just going to leave it sit in the pot. I'll show you anyway. For about 10 minutes, it's going to caramelize, and then we're going to stir. You don't want it too small, because it sort of shrinks when you cook it. About that size dice. Right, so I've got my oil, I've got my pork, a little bit of seasoning on the pork, salt and pepper. That's a good glug, right? Leave it till you start to see sort of the oil moving and a few fumes. You want to hear that sizzle. You want the meat to caramelize. You don't want to throw it all in on top of each other. All right, this stays like this for about the next 8 minutes. Do not turn it. Because what's happening now, all the liquid is going to reduce from the pork, and the sugar in the meat is going to start to caramelize. Peel it. Peel your onion. Best way to do it, cut in half. I like it quite chunky. Life's too short for peeling garlic, right? You watching? All this pops out when it cooks, and you're left with this the skin. You just take it out. The carrot, as long as the carrot's clean, you don't need to peel it. Chunky, because this is what you're going to eat. Eat the stalks and everything. My two star anise, bay leaves from my garden, fresh. Right, ginger. I've just squared it off. Just take a little bit of the outside off the skin. What you do is put it into little strips. Yay, Then what you do is like put 2 strips on top, then you cut them into batons. Right now, you've got your batons. Now you just dice. See that? You've got a nice dice of ginger. That goes in there. See this? That's what we're looking for. That's called caramelization. That's what you want. Not that. That. Then what you do is you turn your meat and put it back on so everything looks like that. See, so what's happening now is the sugar in the meat is caramelizing and all the liquid in the meat is evaporating. So it's going to start frying quicker now in a minute. So just keep an eye on it. This is what you're looking for. This is ideal. Our veg. Everything's in there apart from the liquid and your chickpeas. Give it a few minutes just to break down. No water.
How much water? About a litre?
Yeah, a litre and a bit. Enough to cover the meat. Now you add your 100 millilitres, not 200, of soy sauce. Do you know what you do is you put it in, you taste it. It should just be slightly salty because it's going to reduce. Look at the colour. Now you're going to bring this up to the boil. Here we go, vinegar. I use about a cup. So you got it, that's called a solid boil there. So what we're going to do is, now you go into your oven, lower your oven to 140 degrees. If you don't want to do it in the oven, you can do it in the stove top. I'll show you how. Now's a good time. If you're using the oven, you put your lid on and it goes into the oven at 140, yeah? So it goes into the oven. If you don't want to put it in the oven, you can just go on the lowest, on the stove, the lowest one. Leave it a little bit off. So what's going to happen is, you just want to take it over like that. You can actually leave the lid off if you want. If you're doing it on the stove top, leave the lid off. If you're doing it in the oven, leave the lid on. Okay, so this is an hour and a half. It's reduced. Well, let's have a before and after. This is our pork now, right? It's very hard. This is what you're looking for after an hour and a half. That's when you know it's ready, is when you can do that. Here's what I was saying about the garlic, right? Remember your garlic? That's your garlic. What you do is, let it cool down a bit, obviously. Oh, that's the money shot. Look at that. Squeeze your garlic. Like, how good is that? When it comes out of the oven and if it's still not reduced, put it back on the stove top and just let it simmer till it reduces by half. See how thick that is now? The colour and the...
Do we need to stir if it's on the stove top?
Every half an hour maybe, just so it doesn't stick. It should be nice and low. You have enough liquid in there just to keep it going. When you take it out, let it sit for about 20 minutes. Now you add your chickpeas or whatever you're going to add. Yeah, stir it through. Let them warm through. Bit of spinach. Throw it in the bottom of the bowl. Throw the parsley in the bottom of the bowl. Because the heat of the stew will cook the spinach and the parsley. Look. Your ladle, that is. Splash of olive oil.
How long will it last in the fridge?
A week. And what you do is, if you don't need it all over the next few days, freeze it in the takeaway containers. Or if you've eaten all the meat and you've got the stock, freeze the stock in a takeaway container. And then the next time you got to cook this, you use that as your base stock. Like, never throw it away.
Water in the recipe.
You can, but you don't need to buy a good stock if you're already making the stock. Like, because you're using good meat. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Joining in. Good night. Cheers.